Welcome to the Codes of Higher Potential podcast. I'm John Graham, and today it's just going to be a podcast episode with you and I. No guests. I really want to share what Codes of Higher Potential actually means. Not just what it means, but how do we acquire and embody our codes of higher potential? What's it different from all this other stuff out there, right? You're probably into self-development. You probably found an interest in what I had to say because I'm a 3-time USA memory champion and performed all over the world and done all these cool things. And maybe I know something you don't. You know, in my search for reaching the top and all these accomplishments and all these cool things and feats and abilities I could do, I tried it all. Maybe not at all. I don't think I've ever tried, or anyone's ever tried it all. I've never done ayahuasca or anything like that. But in the pursuit of reaching my highest potential and ability and focus and flow in mind, in optimizing my mind, which we'll talk about, I tried lots of different guided meditations, focusing on your breath meditation, other people guiding me, sound meditations to reach a state of peace and calm. Tried hypnosis to try to delete memories. And when I got into it, I didn't realize that's what the hypnotist was trying to do. But to try to get me into a deeper state. I tried self-hypnosis. I tried the HemiSync from Monroe Institute, which are pretty cool. Supplements, affirmations. I was in a group, a mastermind, where we did all kinds of frequency things, getting yourself in peak states and frequency. Think like Tony Robbins, but more heart-centered, if you will. Kind of like Joe Dispenza type stuff, where you use gratitude to get yourself into a peak state. You listen to music, some playlists of songs that you really love. You brag about yourself. You journal. You jump up and down. You shake it out. You ground in the earth. You do all these things to try to get your vibration, your frequency to be high, to manifest your dreams. Visualize your dreams. And I did that too. And I'll admit, for my first championship, for many years before I won my first championship, to one song, it was a Foo Fighters song called Congregation. I would play that song and I would close my eyes and I would visualize the championship day, going through all the events of the USA Memory Championship. The words event, the tea party event, the cards event, just imagining I'm there on the exact stage of where it would be and the competitors and, doing everything perfectly and winning and holding the trophy. And I would get so pumped up emotionally, tears would roll down my cheeks sometimes and I would just feel it. And I called that emotionalization to try to manifest what I wanted. And, I'm mentioning all these techniques and positive thinking and basically every mind trick you can do to rewire your brain, to access your subconscious. And do they work? Well, I don't think that's the question to ask, because I won 3 championships. I have them. I have the trophies. I'm looking at them right now. When I won my 3rd trophy that day, it was so exciting to win. And it's funny because Scotty Scheffler, the #1 player in golf, just recently, you can look this up, talked about sort of the unfulfilling nature of what he does. He's the best golfer in the world. He's won all these championships and events and millions of dollars. And he talks about how the feeling of winning only lasts for like 2 minutes and then it's back to normal life. And it's so true. I won that 3rd trophy. The excitement of the day was kind of wearing off. It was in the evening. I put the trophy on the mantle and I started feeling a little empty. Like it wasn't empty, it was the feeling just deflated. It was like that whole balloon just deflated. I was back to normal. And that crash is so visceral. Like you notice how high you are. It's like a high. And you crash down to a level of boredom. And it's so jolting. And it feels empty and it feels depressing. And so in that moment, I started thinking about winning a fourth title 1 year from today and imagining that and having a fourth trophy. And in that moment, I stepped back, like literally took a step back with my feet and looked at the trophy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this never ends, does it? Like I'm already trying, I just won a third trophy and I'm already thinking about winning a fourth one just to feel happy, just to feel excited, just to feel something, just to feel fulfilled. Not that there's anything wrong with winning a trophy, it's awesome, but like it wasn't fulfilling. And I realized in that moment I was just chasing the feeling of accomplishment. And as many of you know, I've since retired from competing and really seeking out fulfillment. And that's where we're here, Codes of Higher Potential. The main thing I'm trying to say here is we try all this stuff and we think, does it work? Will it get me my goals and my dreams? And I don't think that's the question to ask. Because what if it does? What if you get the amount of money you want? What if you get the car you want? What if you accomplish the thing you want? What if you get the six pack? You're just going to want more. You're just going to want another trophy. And you might think, yeah, so? But really think about that. Like you're always wanting something to feel happy, something outside of you. You think that an accomplishment or a cup of coffee or a trophy or a certificate or whatever you're literally doing next will make you happy. And it, not even make you happy, but feel good or avoid feeling bad. Why am I sharing all this? Because this is actually the crux of what I teach in Codes of Higher Potential. Is we realize we're always either A, chasing a good feeling, we're doing something to feel good, or B, we're doing something to avoid feeling bad. That's why we scroll, looking for a hit, we're avoiding, we're distracted. That's why we overeat, some of us, or some of us watch pornography, or some of us overachieve, or some of us are workaholics, or drink, or do drugs, or thrill seek, or peak performance junkies, or spiritual junkies, or whatever your thing is. Everyone has a thing where we lose ourselves to try to feel good or to avoid feeling bad. But what if the quote unquote feeling bad or the feeling you're feeling right now was the gold, was your access to codes of higher potential? Because again, many of us try to use our minds to manipulate the world or our thoughts or our beliefs or our subconscious to get what we want, to hack, right? And again, I've tried all that stuff. But what if that's the goal? All the stuff you're trying to avoid or escape? What if the apathy or the feeling of boredom or feeling of unmotivation or anxiety or dread or overwhelm, what if that's the goal? And what if feeling all of that and accessing the codes within that would give you the higher potential that you are looking for? And that's my argument. I don't even think it's an argument, it's a truth. In my experience, and the ones I've worked with, and the ones I've learned this from, the way to accessing higher potential is through all of the muck that you are trying to avoid. So first off, what do I mean by codes of higher potential? Codes, let's just break this down. Codes are instructions. Higher potential, higher When I say higher, I don't mean better. I mean higher consciousness, a higher perspective, and potential. Potential is what can you change or what can you do with your abilities. If you have higher potential, you have a higher consciousness within you, and you have the ability to act out more good in this world, or bring your gifts forth unhindered, without friction, without resistance, and maybe not completely without friction and resistance. But generally, what I'm trying to say is there are codes, there are instructions within you, not within a book or not from me. There are innate, think of them like DNA codes, like within your own DNA. That if you knew how to access these codes and instructions within you, that you could be guided from a higher intelligence, a living intelligence, that would not only guide you, but you would also embody, hold within your body, within the cells of your being, within your being, the ability to act in higher consciousness, to bring forth your gifts, and to unveil your gifts to the world for the highest benefit of you and others. And what it also means, and what I teach, is it would also release a lot of the pressure, the friction, the resistance that you are having. Because I can guarantee you, if you're listening to this, you're probably very mind heavy, like I was, trying to use your brain and your mind, really your mind. There's a difference here. The brain is the organ in your body. It's beautiful. The mind is the construct with all of the beliefs and the conditioning and the programming, good or bad, positive or negative. I don't even like those terms, positive and negative. And you'll see why in this work that I do. But we try to change the mind, or change our beliefs, or redirect our mind, or distract ourselves, or focus on something, or to achieve something, to get what we think we want. And again, what if we abandon that focus? Because I can guarantee you that's also been your focus. If you think about it, why did you grab that cup of coffee? Why did you listen to that meditation? Why did you do that thing? Why did you work out? Why did you do this? And it's not that these things are bad, like, at all. But I want you to see that you're doing things based on your mind. Your mind is telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. It's guiding you. It's also keeping you from doing the things you want to do. Like maybe you want to work out, but you haven't been, and you haven't been consistent. And you wait for that perfect day, and you realize all these days have happened where you haven't worked out, and there's pressure building, and you just feel like stuck because you haven't perfected your routine and you're not motivated and all of these things, right? Either way, your mind is in control. But what if we allow a higher intelligence to take the driver's seat? And that's what I'm talking about here, is let's take the mind out of the driver's seat and allow a higher intelligence to come forth to guide us. Many of you know that I've shared in the journey that a few years ago I went through a dark night of the soul. Because up until then, I had tried all of the peak performance, high performance tactics, techniques, methods of the mind, of visualization, manifestation, breath work, everything that I had mentioned to get myself to perform and focus. Because there were a lot of days where I felt unmotivated. I would wake up and feel overwhelmed, like with all the things I had to do on my list. And I would look at my calendar or my list, and I would immediately shut down and go, oh my gosh, and I wouldn't know where to start. And then I would walk away and get some coffee or listen to some music to try to feel motivated. And I would procrastinate. And this happened a lot. as much as I accomplished in my life, this happened a lot. And, I'd try the coffee. I would just try to feel driven and motivated. Do everything I could to get that feeling, to hold that feeling. And it didn't always work. And when it didn't work, then I would rely on what other people said, that discipline, you just have to do it, right? You just have to be consistent. And then I would force myself to do things. Well, over the years, a lot of anxiety built up and dread because I had so much desire to have a lot of money, to make a lot of money in my business, to have success in memory and competitions, and to win world championships. And like, I had all this pressure that I put on myself, what I thought I wanted and needed, and it just started to drain me. And I didn't notice it at first, and I was kind of delusionally optimistic. I wouldn't admit to anyone. Like, looking back, I didn't really believe I struggled because I had all these tools. I could just meditate or focus or, do this thing and I would get out of it, or I would, you know, but I would still feel pressure. I would still feel resistance internally. I would still feel like I was overthinking and distracted all the time, or scattered at times, I should say. Not all the time. I was just chasing that feeling of flow. And I read all the books on flow, and oh gosh, just thinking back is funny. But it reached a point where I had a lot of these weird sensations in my body one day. Like, my head felt like all this energy was stuck in my head. And I thought I was like burnt out. I didn't know what was happening. I just felt like no matter how much I tried to focus or get how much sleep I got or anything, how much I napped, I just had this, and it wasn't brain fog because I had had brain fog before. But this definitely applies to brain fog too. But like, all this energy is stuck in my head, and then I started having these weird sensations that scared me. I went downstairs one day at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, and my wife was in the kitchen, and my wife's sister, and I just got this wave go through my body. It was incredibly uncomfortable and scary, where I thought something bad was going to happen, like impending doom. And my heart started racing, and I started feeling faint, like I was going to pass out. And I told my wife to call 911 because I got scared. And that was the start of panic attacks. That was a panic attack. These waves. And they varied from just a wave of fear, intense fear, to like, I thought I was going to die. There were times where my face went numb once. The left side of my face went numb, and I thought I was having a stroke. And my brother was driving me to the ER again. But I went to the ER 3 times because of all these sensations. I had an MRI scan. I had CT scans. I had electrocardiogram, or I don't even know if I said that right, but all these tests, neurology. What is wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. And I had medication. I was given medication like Xanax. I tried that like 3 times. Actually, I don't even think I tried it 3 times. But, they're like, if you feel high anxiety or you feel a panic attack, take one. And I took it, and it just, like, it would calm me and relax me a little bit. But I could tell there was still stuff inside me. I realized it was just going to numb me, or like, wasn't going to take care of the root here. I just had all this uncomfortable sensation in my body. And every tool that I had ever learned, everything was telling me, oh, go meditate. Oh, go relax. Oh, go for a walk. Go listen to a song. Get in a good frequency. Think of what you're grateful for. But I realized all of that was a distraction because my life came crashing down that year. And I thought, everything that I'm doing isn't working. And I'm not saying for you, the listener, that this is going to happen at all. But it happened to me, and it was a blessing because, and like, imagine if you have a heart attack. If you have a heart attack, you're going to change that day. Like, if you survive, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to eat better. You're going to throw out all your junk food. You're going to go work out. You're going to go to the doctor. You're going to get, do all these things of self care to change your life because you're like, I can't do this anymore. Most likely, it would change radically. And that's what happened to me because I hit the bottom. I hit rock bottom. I radically changed. Now, that's why it's so dangerous for people to be in this middle ground of to not hit rock bottom. Like, rock bottom is a blessing. Because if you don't, and you're in this comfortable, like quasi comfortable middle ground, you're not going to change. You're going to keep doing the things you're doing and living the life you're living, mediocrity. You're not going to change until you get absolutely sick and tired of the things you're getting or not getting out of life. And so for me, one moment of realization, I said, everything I'm doing isn't working. And I dropped it all. That was a really nice moment because I stopped doing all of the hacks and tools and lists and things that I'd been doing. Dropped it. I stopped listening to music to pump me up. I stopped journaling. I stopped, meditating with guided meditations. I stopped, the supplement. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe not all in that moment, but it dropped. And what did I do? I can't explain it, but I knew that I just needed to let go. And that's a popular word these days, but I quite literally laid in bed and didn't of course I took naps, when I needed, but for many hours I just laid there and I felt myself because I felt paralyzed. I felt scared. I felt numb. I felt all of these intense voltages in me. Not all the time. It wasn't like a 24/7 thing, but when they came, I felt it all. And that's when everything changed for me. And that's what Codes of Higher Potential is all about. Because I started dissolving and releasing all of this suppressed pressure, resistance within me. What I realized that the root of my overwhelm, anxiety, brain fog, overthinking, all of this stuff, the root of all of that is not mental. The root of it is suppressed emotion, suppression within. Because I can also, a safe bet is that if you're listening to this, you're living partially or fully dissociated. What that means is you're very much in your head. You're always thinking, analyzing, reading, doing things cognitively, doing things intellectually. Again, nothing wrong with any of that. But I can also, what that means is you're disconnected from your body. You don't feel your body that much. You're not aware of the sensations in your body. You're not here and now. You're not present with yourself. You're avoiding a lot of the feelings that you feel. Whether it's a lot of it's unconscious. If you're thinking ahead, you're dissociated, most likely. Doesn't mean you. We can get into the nuances here, but generally speaking, if you're always thinking ahead, planning, writing, just intellectualizing, you're dissociated. Or if you're stuck in the past, always thinking of regrets and what other people think of you, like you're dissociated. If you're constantly journaling and meditating by focusing on a mantra or it's focusing on something else and you're not feeling yourself, you're dissociated. And so the goal, it's not even a goal, but the flip is to be embodied in your body, to feel connected to your body as much as you can, to be present with what is going on inside of you. And now that includes physical sensations like the butt and your butt in the seat, feet on the floor. It also includes heartbeat, includes just even textures and electricity and physical sensations. Like if you just got quiet here, pause this for a second and just felt yourself. You feel numb? You feel nothing? You feel some buzzing, some sensation, some emotional texture, some like drain on your brain? What do you feel? And how often do you feel that? And a lot of people that come to me go, well, I don't really feel that. I feel pretty neutral. And I challenge them on that because I remember that I felt the same way. Like, no, you feel that way because you're numb. I can say that safely now because I feel just so much depth of sensation within me, so connected to that. So much electricity and life force has cultivated within me and expanded into greater capacity and energy and potential that I see the difference. When I was in my head, I had no idea. I thought, oh, I just keep an even keel. I don't get too high or too low. But no, like it's because you're dissociated and you've kind of suppressed a lot of this uncomfortable energy within you. And that's the work I do. And we access. That's how you access your codes of higher potential, is you move through and release and alchemize and transform all of the suppression within you. Because in my journey, again, I started being with myself. That was part of it. But I also started to feel all of the panic and anxiety when it came up. And again, that's just a part of it. Like that's a lot of you are wondering, how do you do that, right? We can talk about that. Because again, that's the work I do. It's not easy if you've been trained in your mind and you're unconscious to all of this. You want to eject immediately. You want to go listen to something. You want to go walk it off or blow off some steam if you're feeling angry or anxious. But no, like you're missing out on the gold. And you think, well, it goes away when I blow off steam, like the anger's gone, whatever. And I'm like, no. You've just distracted yourself and you've buried it. It's suppressed within you still. I started accessing all of this uncomfortableness within me. And it started coming up. And I was staying with it, being with it. And over time, over the course of 2 months, panic attacks stopped. I went from having daily multiple panic attacks. Because what I forgot to mention, and this will make sense to a lot of you, is I explained everything that happened with the ER and the sensations. They just kept happening. I just kept feeling so much tension and uncomfortableness and energy moving in my body that I just kept having panic attacks. Well, in my MRI test, they found that I had a brain aneurysm. And I got an email one day, from an automated email from the MRI team that said I had a brain aneurysm. Like it was in the results. I had to read through it. But I freaked the F out. And I started Googling and, WebMDing and, found out brain aneurysms, your blood vessel, reaches it sort of balloons and it adds pressure and it could explode and, things could really happen. And at that time, I didn't realize it, but I was definitely a hypochondriac in that time. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to remain calm. And I asked my doctor for blood pressure medication and I was taking that Xanax a couple times and I was doing everything I could to remain calm. Well, as you know, these techniques, you can reach a state of calm, but all of this stuff within you will just keep coming up until you resolve it. And so it just kept coming up, and I'm trying to remain calm and ignore it, and it just exploded on me. And I was having multiple daily panic attacks. Incredible voltage moving through me, incredible fear. Just drained. I was hyperventilating. I was just awful. But I started to be with it because everything that I had been told and taught wasn't working. So I dropped the medications, all of them, because I hate medication anyway. I knew intuitively that wasn't it. Luckily, I only spent like 5 days to a week on that stuff, even the blood pressure stuff. And I just started to be with it because there was nowhere I could go. That was the blessing of this. I couldn't hide from it. It was so in my face and all over that I just couldn't hide. I had to be with it. 2 months passed of deep relaxation. And again, we could talk about that. Being with it, allowing it, feeling it, and it would just start surging through me. 2 months later, I had no panic attacks. Just gone. And we're waking up feeling dread of like all the things I had to do. No more feeling the heaviness in my body, the weight, the anxiety, the overthinking. It just started going away, and I felt this peace that I'd never felt before. Also realized I was really tense, and a lot of you are probably tense too. Tension is a key to all this. Yeah, just a level of peace and focus and clarity and presence I had never felt before. And I just kept going with it. And that's where I am today, is teaching not only how do we access and release the root of what is holding us back, the pressures, the frictions, the resistances to doing tasks, to doing what we want to do. Like there's these mental blocks. They're not really mental. A lot of them are very physical or very emotional. We don't realize that. We try all the mental hacks. And again, if you tried all that, realize the deeper root issue is suppressed emotion. And that's just my quick story to relate to. But codes of higher potential, in order to access your codes of higher potential within you, because again, everything, all of my work points back to you. I am not some guru. I am not somebody to like read my books on and study and like mimic me and listen to me. Like everything that I teach people is directing them back to themselves, because everything you need is within you. And I know you've heard and read that before. It's incredibly frustrating to hear that advice, but it is true. Nobody can save you. Nobody can help you access the depths of yourself except you. I'm just pointing you back to how to do that in a way that I have found useful. But imagine, and this is all the benefit of this, is expanding your capacity to handle more life, to handle more life force, the force that animates us, the life force energy within you. So many wonderful benefits. Deeper presence. A lot of you think, ooh, I want to be present with my family. Is it people think like presence is like some magical golden moment of peace? It's like, oh, no. A lot of people, the reason they can't be present is because it's so scary, at least initially. Think about if you were present right now with what's going on inside of you or throughout your entire day. It's scary because there's so much stuff that you don't want to feel or think about or deal with. Maybe you don't realize that yet. Presence. So we get deeper presence. We are more grounded. We are more, excuse me, access more focus. We can act uninhibited once resistances and blockages are released, mental blockages. We can act in higher potential and higher capacity. We can make more higher decisions. Higher not meaning better, but higher meaning higher consciousness. We can embody higher consciousness within us. So how do we do that? Let's talk about that. As I mentioned, there's some keys here. Tension is a gateway point. Suppressed emotion. Presence. Dropping all of the mental stuff. putting the mind in the back seat, not in the driver's seat. A lot of this stuff is, well, let's just talk about this. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, join the Patreon. On this Patreon, you'll get full access to me with Q&As, full podcast episodes, exclusive videos, classes, and more. That is at patreon.com/John Graham. Also, there's a free video I made on how to alchemize the true root of the pressure within you and embody your higher potential. This is a counterintuitive process. This is unlike any of the mental or peak performance methods that you've tried in the past that have gotten you only limited capacity. If you want to watch that video, go to codesofpotential.com.